Man, times were much simpler then. Hello, I'm Hannah, and welcome to the full first-length video I'm making. Listen, I planned for my first full-length thing to be the introductions to these characters, however, I can't do it justice. Not now, at least. Mostly because I want to go over each of them, and there's some lore that has to be dealt with and addressed, and it's a lot. Listen, this campaign's been going on for a minute, guys. But also, if I'm wanting to do introductions, I really want to get the players and have them talk to you about their characters, because honestly, hearing them talk about their characters is so much fun. Also, just gotta admit, I'm kind of embarrassed when it comes to showing my speed paints and time lapses. I understand art is a weird thing and it's different for everyone, but I feel like my stuff is all over the place, and you can see that I jump around in this sketch so much. Also, to explain my process a bit, there's a rough sketch of figures underneath this, and then I'm going over top of it with another rough sketch of the characters with their features. That's my usual process. Sometimes I just do a rough sketch once and then go over it with lines, but I mean, art changes. Your art process will always change, and mine certainly keeps changing. I used a different line art brush than my typical line art brush for this piece, and that's because I wanted to give the look of like a show screenshot. I was inspired by a few pieces that I saw on Pinterest of people redrawing their OCs in screenshots from shows or just making fake screenshots, and I thought that was such a neat little thing. And actually, this piece is inspired by something that I never finished previously with all of these characters. Okay, before I start to ramble about these characters, let me label each of them for you so this can be a little bit easier. Going from left to right, we have Thaddeus, Fawn, Sprout, Thorin, Aqua, and Lashto. Got it? Good. Now time for the ramble. This wasn't really based on a specific event in campaign, but I mean, it's not far off. They probably did have a time like this in a tavern at some point. There's definitely been a couple of events in taverns, such as a bar fight, a drinking competition. One time Sprout got drunk and asked Aqua to dance. Oh, and our good buddy Lashto can absorb liquids through his skin, so if anyone spills alcohol on him, he is immediately inebriated. I should add that he typically doesn't drink on his own, so anytime that he is drunk, it is probably because a drink got spilled on him. Poor buddy. Actually, speaking of drinks and taverns, Thaddeus was a bartender before we took him adventuring. Literally, the whole party loved him so much and we wanted him to join us, so we rolled a persuasion check and got a natural 20. And now he's our beloved sunshine boy, and we would be nowhere without him. Like, quite literally, I think a few of us might have been dead if it weren't for him. We don't play around when it comes to our beloved NPCs. Long story short, recent story events, Thaddeus was kidnapped and then we had to save him, and we did. Interrupting this Thaddeus ramble, one thing I have to point out about this art piece is that Lashto is writing, but I never put any writing in the book, which is actually on brand for him. Lashto cannot remember anything for the life of him, so he has to write everything down. But also, we as a party have a collective intelligence of 1, like that is the highest modifier we all have together. Oop, jump scare. Those are all my color palettes I have for all of the characters. I made them so it would be easier for me to just quickly grab colors when I needed them. And if you'll notice, when I color in a character, I go in with a base of their skin tone and then go over top of it with a clipping layer and add in all of the other details. I just found this to be the easiest way, but it looks a little silly when you look at it in a time lapse, but I don't know. I know I made the subtitle on this unintelligible conversation and laughter, but that's because I legitimately could not think of dialogue to, fake subtitle over this, but also because there's probably overlapping conversations. Like, I'm sure Thorin is recounting his tales that he had alongside Aqua. And Fawn and Sprout are for sure talking, but about what? I don't know. And I don't think Sprout knows what Fawn's implying either. At least not at this very moment. And Thaddeus and Lashto are just happy to be included. I mean, Lashto's in his own little world, but I like to imagine his book's blank because he is actually listening. I mean, look at that little smile on our stoic barbarian's face. Alright, listen, some of you might recognize that background, and it is in fact from Sea of Thieves, because I was far too lazy to do an actual background on this piece. And no, I will not allow you to judge me for that. Listen, sometimes as artists you take shortcuts, and it worked for this one. Now look at those silly little guys. Look at them go. Look at them laughing and having fun. Aww. It only goes downhill from here. And that's all. Thanks for listening to me ramble, and maybe I'll do this again soon.